I have just been called immoral. Yani, my morality is in question. Why? Because I offered advice that before starting to knock off your debt, before focusing on paying off your debt or paying down your debt, you need to have your emergency funds in place. And guess what I have been told? Unakuwaje na emergency funds, yet you know uko na madeni mahali hujalipa. Your morality or human deficiency is in question. And roll eyes. What do you guys think about that? What do you think about that statement? Is it advisable for you to first pay off your debt, and then once you are absolutely debt-free, you can then now start building up your emergency funds? Remember, emergency funds are money that you keep aside for unknown expenditures. In the event of an emergency, any emergency, whether you're sick or wherever your child is sick, or you have a tire burst, you have a funeral, any form of emergency. Which one do you think comes first? Do you first pay off your debts and then you build up your emergency funds? Or do you have your emergency funds first before you start paying off your debt? Yani, I have been called immoral. My morality is in question. Anyways, this has just made me understand, or it has made me realize the gap in financial literacy that we have, the gap we have in financial awareness. And that is exactly what is motivating me to keep putting up these videos, or to keep pushing out these videos, okay? Kindly press the subscribe button, because if this person had watched my earlier video, she would have been in a position to understand the roles that an emergency fund plays, or why you need to be having an emergency fund in place. Now, remember, what will happen? Let me ask you, what will happen if you have an emergency and you don't have an emergency fund in place? Where would you get the money to shoulder that emergency, or to take care of that emergency? You're going to borrow. And so then, why would you then want to work towards paying off your debt, only for you to sink deeper into debt? Emergency funds is one of the ways for you to manage debt. Having an emergency fund in place will cushion you against going into debt. Now, children are playing outside. My kids are playing outside plus other kids, so ignore the background noise, yeah? So emergency funds are funds that will cushion you from going into debt whenever you have an emergency, because emergencies have no time frame. Emergencies do not alarm you. They don't forewarn you. They don't forewarn you. Okay? You don't know when you're going to incur this. You have no idea when you'll be losing your job. What happens when you have lost your job and you don't have an emergency fund in place? Why? Because you have been working on paying out your debt. You're going to have to borrow again. Okay? What happens when it rains? God forbid, business is swept by the floods. What do you do next? What happens when you have a stall in Toy Market or Gikomba, and then your stock goes up in flame? Remember, you have no emergency funds, but you're paying off your debt. What happens? You're going to have to borrow again for you to restock and jumpstart your business. Yeah? So emergency funds are very, very critical. And paying off, building your emergency fund before you fast track your debt payment does not make you immoral. It just means that you are in control of your finances. You are fully aware of your priorities. And I am not saying, or I do not mean that build up your emergency and don't pay your debt. No. As you build up your emergency, you maintain the minimum payment of your debts. If you have a credit card, you have a loan, you have maybe different loans, a personal loan, a car loan, a mortgage. Of course, these loans have the minimal payment amount that you have to be putting in place per month. Those minimum payment amounts, continue making them as you build your emergency funds. Once your emergency funds has been fully built up, once it's fully in place, you can then now start fast-tracking the repayment of your debt, so that at the end of the day, you have your fully funded emergency funds and you have your debt also fully paid off. But so building up your emergency funds before you start tackling your debt, or you start fast-tracking the payment of your debt, does not make you immoral. Do not misunderstand. I am not implying that don't pay any debt as you build up your emergency funds. No. My advice is build up your emergency funds, have your emergency funds fully in place, and then you can now start tackling your debt, fast-tracking your debt. Meanwhile, as you build your emergency funds, always be paying the minimal amount that you have to pay on each of the other debt lines that you have. All right, so you can see clearly that subscribing to this channel is very, very beneficial. My ultimate goal is to ensure that all my audience, you who is watching this video plus other videos, have financial knowledge that can help you in managing your finances. The ultimate goal, of course, is to attain financial freedom, which is actually very attainable. Please press the subscribe button and see you on the next video.